Our word of the week this week is shepherd. Let's take a look. So poimen is shepherd or livestock herder. It is the basis of the economy in Palestine during the New Testament period. It's the backbone of all economic activity, is the keeping of domesticated, cloven, hoofed ruminants. It's a job of responsibility because you are entrusted with a large amount of wealth, whether that belongs to you or to someone else. It's a job of autonomy. You're frequently out by yourself because of the rainy seasons and the need to move the livestock to where there is browsing material. And it's also a job of risk. Because of the wealth, there are people who may want to steal from you, and because of wild animals who may want to eat the creatures in your charge. The New Testament uses poimen in three general ways. The first is as literal shepherds, whether they be real people or as an example, a teaching tool. The second we're going to look at today is Jesus using the term shepherd in a self-referential way to refer to himself. And then there's a minority use, speaking of church leaders as shepherds of God's flock. So let's dive in and look at the most literal of examples. This is Luke chapter 2, verse 8, at the story of the Nativity from the ESV, and I have added the Koine. And in the same region there were shepherds, poimenes, plural, out in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. So these are the shepherds to whom appeared the angel announcing the birth of Christ, and then they went to see the newborn king. Now we'll see Jesus speak of shepherds to make a teaching point, giving an example of what real shepherds are like without it necessarily meaning actual people in specifics. So this is John 10, verse 1 and 2. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. Shepherd here, poimen. So now let's take a look at Jesus speaking of himself as a shepherd, still in chapter 10 of John. This is 11 and 12. I am the good shepherd, ho poimen ho kalos. Notice this is the attributive position of an adjective. So our noun, ho poimen, modified by the adjective ho kalos, the good one. The shepherd, the good one. I am the good shepherd, the good one. The good shepherd, and he repeats it again, ho poimen ho kalos, lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand, ho misthotos, and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. So we get this great contrast. So ho poimen ho kalos, the shepherd, the good one, the good shepherd, and then we get its antonym here in the context, ho misthotos. So misthos is a price or a payment. Misthotos is a person defined by the payment. This is the hired hand. This is the person who's only there because he's getting paid. And we saw the difference in the behavior. The ho poimen ho kalos, the good shepherd, acts because the sheep are his own. He has a bond and a connection to this group of livestock. But the bond or the connection for ho misthotos is to the payment, not to the livestock. So when the danger comes, when the threat comes, he bails, because he's only there for the paycheck. He's not there for the well-being of the sheep. Interesting. Now we're going to get to an eschatological reference of Jesus using the term shepherd about himself. in the last days it will be thus. And we're looking at Matthew 25. This is verses 31 and 32. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd, poimen, separates the sheep from the goats. So there he says, at the end of days, when the sorting is being done of the saved and the lost, it'll be like a shepherd separating out sheep from goats, which are not uncommonly herded together in the wild, but when it comes time to go to market, they're separated for their different purposes. Now finally, we'll look at the third use, which is speaking of some church leaders as shepherds. This is in Ephesians 4. Shouldn't come as a surprise that it's in Ephesians, the Queen epistle, the epistle that focuses more on the church than any of the others do. And this is in verse 11. But I just want to point something out for you. If you go and take a look at your Greek Bible or look at it online, you'll see something that you won't notice in most English translations. In Greek, in Ephesians 4, verses 11 through 16 are one long run-on sentence. A lot of the English versions have broken it up into multiple sentences, which, from my perspective, my opinion, for whatever that is worth, is that should not be done. The author knew what he was doing when he wrote it. Paul wanted 11 through 16 to be one long sentence. I don't have the right or responsibility to break it up into multiple sentences. But take a look at that. It's interesting. But today we're only going to look at verse 11, where we find, and he gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, and the shepherds, tous de poimenos, and the shepherds, and teachers. There's another place for you to look. It's in 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. The reason we're not looking at it today is because our word of the week is the noun, poimen, but you can go and see the verb form in 1 Peter 5, 1 and 2, where the elders are encouraged to, quote, shepherd the flock of God. So shepherd being used as a verb. So there you have it. Our word of the week, poimen. We've seen it used about literal shepherds who were approached at the nativity. We've seen it used as a teaching tool, as a metaphor in parables. We've seen Jesus use it to refer to himself, and we've seen the Apostle Paul use it to refer to some of the leaders within the congregation of the different sorts gifted by the Spirit to lead the church, apostles, teachers, pastors, etc. So poimen, great word of the week. I hope that was good for you. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And until next time, Charis Kairene Humin, grace and peace to you.